Coming from CNBC, Visa is cutting 7% of employees in efficiency push as AI reshapes work. And so I do think that's a nifty way to put the AI clickbait into a title when you're dealing with something that probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with artificial intelligence. Basically, what Visa is doing is they are pushing for efficiency gains. I know there's probably some 25-year-olds out there, some 30-year-olds out there, and they hear the word efficiency and they probably don't really understand what the hell we're talking about. Like if efficiency. How do you pronounce that word? Because the thing is, especially in the technology world, definitely for the past decade, probably up to 15 years, depending on what companies you have been working at, the fact of the matter is efficiency went the fuck out the window many, many, many years ago. And it's something that I have found to be absolutely and utterly bizarre, right? The idea that companies should be seeking to maximize the value that employees are creating, whether it is through training the employees better, whether it's through giving the employees better systems to do their job, whether it's simply firing bad employees and bringing better employees in. The concept of is if you have 10 employees doing the job, can you decrease that down to 7 or 5 or 2? Or maybe use artificial intelligence and get rid of all of them, right? That is the concept of efficiency, that you should use the fewest number of people to get the greatest amount of return. And oh, Lordy, I say that in 2026, and I can already hear the but that is kind of how business works. But the thing is, we had a 1% interest rate for way too damn long in the United States. All of these companies were hiring in order to prove to investors that they were successful. Because if you don't have profit, you don't have good revenue, you don't have good user growth, how are you going to prove to investors that you're successful? You are going to hire more people. So these companies just hired and hired and hired and hired and hired, and they simply did not give a damn about efficiency. And the important thing to understand when I talk about this thing with efficiency is, I've been doing technology again for about 30 years. And, half of my career was in an era we cared about efficiency, and half of my career is in an era that doesn't understand what efficiency is. And what I really have to explain to the young people out there is this was completely normal, right? Efficiency consultants were a thing. Just like you could be a computer consultant or whatever else, companies would hire efficiency consultants to simply come into their companies, take a look at what their employees were doing, take a look at the workflows and everything else, and basically just try to figure out where there is friction. We talk about friction, where there is friction in the operation, and remove it somehow, right? That was a completely and utterly normal thing. Didn't really think twice about it, 15 years ago. Nowadays, I can't even say the kids don't know what the word efficiency means. Holy fuck, the 30-some-year-olds don't know what the concept of efficiency means. And so as we're moving forward right now, we are going to be seeing more and more of these companies pushing for efficiency because it just makes sense. The problem is we have adults that have literally had their entire careers during a fever dream. We have adults right now, and that's the thing, right? 10 or 15 years, right? If you graduated college and you're 22, and then let's say you went into a job in like 2010, 2011 in one of these hyper growth companies, so you weren't worried about efficiency, and then you bounced around within that particular world, right? We're talking might be 16 years. Oh my God. You might be 37. Oh Lordy, we're so fucked. You might be 37 or 38. You might have a spouse. You might have 2 kids. You might have a house. And you might still have never lived in a world that cared about efficiency. Oh, it's gonna be rough, boys and girls. Things are gonna be rough for you. At least in the tech world. But anyways, so Visa is going down the route for efficiency, but they are using some artificial intelligence. So you gotta throw some AI in to get the clickbait. Visa, which runs the world's largest payment network, plans to cut about 7% of its workforce as CEO Ryan McInerney moves to streamline the company and invest more in growth areas. The company plans to eliminate a roughly 2,600 positions, mostly in its technology and product operations. And that's one of the things we're seeing more and more of, right? When these layoffs originally started, it was the HR people, it was the marketing people, it was all these ancillary people, right? The people that if they had been smart, should have learned to code. But now what we're seeing is more and more of the technology professionals are getting laid off because they're just not valuable. They just don't have a value in the company. Quote, to capture the opportunities ahead and best position Visa to lead this transformation, we must continue evolving how we work. He wrote, AI is also helping to accelerate this evolution and shape the way work gets done at Visa. The layoffs come as companies across the financial and technology sectors increasingly use AI to automate technical work like software development while seeking to rein in cost after years of rapid hiring. And that's the thing that we should really focus on that I think doesn't get focused on enough right now with this whole AI disaster is years of rapid hiring, years and years and years of all of these companies over hiring. And basically what they're really doing right now is they're unwinding the bad decisions that they've made over the past decade. Visa had about 34,100 employees at the end of its last fiscal year. While AI played a significant role in the layoffs, it wasn't the sole driver, right? And I think that's one of the things that we're going to be seeing with these layoffs is that AI is going to come in. But it's not necessarily going to be taking people's jobs, right? It's going to be doing things like creating efficiency gains, like just simply writing up reports, proofreading things, being able to pull up information for dashboards, being able to for coding or whatever, being able to audit what code is already in the repository or whatever else. There are going to be a lot of tools that are going to allow employees to be much more efficient, but that's not the full driver of these layoffs. The efficiency gains are really the driver. Visa wants to invest more in what it views as growth areas, including its emphasis on affluent customers, cross-border activity, business payments, stable coins, and geographic expansion. Quote, as a result of the choices we have made over the past few years, we are entering a new era in commerce with a business that has real momentum, McInerney wrote, citing good financial results and client satisfaction. So yes, good financial results, and you're going to get laid off. Hey, our business is doing pretty good, so we're going to lay off 7% of the employees. Because, again, it is 2026. And so I think this is going to be important for you if you have a job right now, is going and talking to your leadership and talking to whoever you report to, whoever you might report to in the future, right? Go and start listening to your executives, start listening to the managers, start listening to the leadership, and really start understanding what the hell it is that they actually want. Not what you think they want, not what your peers say they want, not that. Go and listen to what they actually want and try to put yourself in a position where you're actually valuable for these organizations. So basically, for a lot of these organizations right now, they are changing how they do business. How they have done business was not a good idea when they implemented these policies, and is becoming ever more tenuous to continue how they've been doing business. So they're going to be changing things up. And so that's where you need to go in and you need to figure out what is it that they are going to need out of employees going into the future? Because that's one of the big thing in the technology world. Like what is weird in the technology world, especially for the younger adults right now, is everybody agrees that technology moves at the speed of lightning. But then what's weird, every technology professional right now, though, thinks like the JavaScript stack is forever. Like, oh yeah, technology moves very fast. But I can always manage it with the JavaScript stack, right? There's like this idea, and that's what's interesting, right? The JavaScript stack really became to prominence again, probably about 2010, 2011. Again, it's been 15 years where if you got into the JavaScript stack or if you got into some of these other stacks, your job has been pretty solid. And the thing is, things are changing right now. The nice part for my generation, for Gen X, is everything was fucking changed. I swear to God, I think I was in the first, MCSE 2000 boot camp. So I got my MCSE in NT 4.0. Then I was in the first MCSE 2000 boot camp. So that was the next operating system for Microsoft. while I was halfway through the fucking first boot camp for Windows 2000, they literally were already talking about Windows XP. That is how quick crap was moving back then. Again, we talk about this thing called convergence. I think it's like voice over IP, right? I was originally trained on digital and analog telephone systems, right? 66 blocks, 110 blocks, Avaya Definity systems, right? By 2005, everything was going over to VoIP, voice over IP, right? It's amazing. Like if you look between 1995 and let's say about 2010, shit was changing like every other fucking day. Like the idea that you had to keep track of what was going on was not a joke. But what's weird is again we get to about 2010, like even things like Amazon, like AWS. I joke about this before. I remember when Amazon came or AWS came out, it was like 2008, and I was talking to one of my employees. And I still remember talking to my employee. It was like, yeah, it seems really cool. I just don't know how to FTP to it. Anyway, no, we didn't understand what was going on. But think about that. Think about that. Like literally, I was an MCSE. I had my military electronics training, a VIA training. I had a company with 9 fucking employees. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, but how do you FTP to AWS? Oh, Lordy. Anyways, right? But that was the word. It was always changing. What I think is interesting, right? The past 15 years, it is amazing how stagnant the tech sector is for many of these technology employees. So many of these technology employees have come in, right? They've learned their little fucking stack. They've learned their shitty ass little stack, and they think that's the valuable thing. That's worth God knows how much money, right? And the idea that that should be worth that going on in the future. And I think the important thing to think about right now is that the world is changing yet again. Companies are going to be focused on different things, right? It's all about where priorities are. Priorities for companies are going to change. The resource allocations that companies have are going to massively shift. A lot of this stuff is going to be changing, and you have to start talking to your leadership team to understand what your organization actually needs. And this is one of the things where oh, fuck me. I just fucking hate talking to so many of the snot-nosed little technology professionals nowadays. Little shit-nosed fucking brats coming to me for, I want mentorship or advice. And then they sit there and all they do is they shit talk their boss. It's like, kid, do you think we're peers? When we're talking about me, you, and your boss, who do you think are peers in this situation? But anyways, one of the fascinating things, again, did mentorship and advising for years. It is fascinating in a horrifying way. How many people will just go into shit talking their bosses, shit talking their owners, right? Why should I care about what the boss or owner wants or whatever else? What they need to understand is it's like, I'm sorry, who the fuck writes whose paycheck? You do you. Again, if the young people out, I am impressed with the young people out there. I guess all of their rent is paid, all of their food is paid. I guess everything is so good they don't care if they lose their job or not. But the thing to understand is if you want to keep a job, if you want to keep moving ahead, you need to talk to the people in authority and understand what it is that they care about. Even if you don't understand why they care about it, it is your job to try to figure out why they care about it, right? Because they're the ones paying the bills. They are the ones leading the ship. You can only have so many captains of a ship. Hopefully, you only want one. Anyways, and that's just how this works. And the other thing to be thinking about too is then even if you get laid off, right? Again, because some of these companies, they lay off 2,600 people. It is not personal. To say that it's not personal doesn't even come close to how impersonal it is. But one of the things is if you've been talking to your leadership, if you've been talking to the managers, if you've been talking to the people in authority in your company, and you get a better idea of what they actually care about currently within the current macroeconomic environment, then when you go to do interviews at other companies, if you do get laid off, you can actually bring that to the table, right? I was working in this other company. This is what I was doing for 10 years. I saw the macroeconomic environment was changing. I went to my leadership, I went to the people in charge of me to ask them what they actually cared about, right? I listened to what they said, and that is why I am getting these particular certifications. That is why I'm going to this particular degree program in school. That is why I am focused on my own self-education on these particular items, right? Because I understand 2026, the things that are important are not the same things that were important in 2016. If you hire me for this company, I will listen to what it is that you actually care about, and I will change the path that I'm going down in order to better support this organization. Right? That's what keeps you going. Jobs come and go, buckos, right? Your career, your career is gonna be ugly. Your career is gonna be so fucking ugly at the end of the day. And you just spit polish over all the stupid bits. Right? That's one thing. Like when I come here and I talk about this stuff, you gotta understand, I could spit polish over my stupid bits. I could not be as honest as I am. I could be very grandiose on certain things. I I just don't have the brain power for it, right? And that's what you do at the end of the day. When you get to be 50 years old and there's some 18-year-old little fucking brat asking you for mentorship and advice, you can just spit polish over all the ugly bits in your career. They don't need to know about that. Anyways, but things to be thinking about. Stop treating your leadership as assholes. If you treat your leadership as assholes, why the fuck should they care about you at the end of the day? Where is the value proposition there? Right? Everybody should be treated well, other than the people that you don't like. Anyways. But it is fascinating. Like I said, I've done so many of those mentorship and advising things. You don't know how many times I've just sat there like a cup of coffee as like one of these little mentors or mentees, I suppose, starts like talking shit. They will just go on for like 15 minutes just shitting on their fucking companies. And I'm just sitting there sipping a cup of coffee. And like, I don't, oh, I got a few minutes left of this meeting. What the fuck am I supposed to say? Anyways, and also think about that too. Like when you go out in public, when you go to meetups, when you go to events, I know it's really fun. I know it's really funny to shit on your boss. I know it's really funny to shit on your company and all that. But again, one of the other things that I find fascinating with this is again, having had employees and all that kind of like think about if you're on the other side of that conversation. How would you feel about that? How would you like does that you know what I'm saying? Like if you were going to people in positions of authority for advice, and you're just crapping on people in positions of authority, do you think they're going to be that interested in opening up to you? I don't know. Some things to ponder, some things to think about. Oh God, I know every time I do one of these videos and I talk about this shit. Oh, the rees, the screams. Oh, the rees will go on for weeks. But you don't understand, it's my boss really is that bad. You don't understand the owner of my company. Like, oh fuck. I miss the days. Again, remember in the early 2000s, so many of us were ex-soldiers. Remember the days in the technology world when so many technology professionals were veterans? I miss those days. Anyways, what are your thoughts other than re? I get it. Other than re, what are your thoughts? Put them down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.